Well, the first time I was called an effing fat black bitch. I was a young teenager, maybe 15, around there, 14, 15. I had just bought this wonderful blue dress from Le Chateau. I was on the RT, actually, on my way to a youth event, like a great after-school empowerment space. And the dress didn't have any sleeves, and it was a little clingy, but not a lot. But I felt good. I thought, you know, I'm gonna put it on. It's brand new, I just got it, I'm excited. I'm going to go to this great youth event where I'm going to see all my friends and community folks, and I'm gonna feel great. So I got on the RT and I sat down, and a gentleman sat, and I'm saying gentleman loosely, sat next to me with a menacing dog. And I was afraid of dogs at that time. I've now become much more affectionate towards them, the big ones. I love the small ones. And he was just sprawled out. Like, he was just taking up space, the dog, no muzzle, squeezing me into the side of the RT seat. So I'm sort of squidgeting and nervous and thinking, oh my God, I hope this dog doesn't bite me. And literally, within what felt like seconds, he just got up and said, you know, you wouldn't be, if you weren't such a effing fat black bitch, you wouldn't be afraid of my dog, you know? And I am dead serious. And I can still remember, you know, the look of his face, the spit particles, because it was just so, you know? And then he gets out of the RT. And I'm sitting there, a teenager, you know, in this dress. Just sort of like, what the just happened? And I am telling you without a word of a lie, nobody in the cart did anything. Well, actually they did. Some people laughed, literally laughed. Some people just sort of, you know, kept doing what they were doing. Other people kind of looked at me, you know, for a second with empathy and then looked away. And others just ignored my gaze altogether. At the next stop, I got off, and I remember just sort of getting off and crying and thinking, well, no one did anything that day.
How did you feel? Did you feel almost embarrassed?
I was mortified. I was absolutely mortified. Because again, when you're an adolescent, as we all remember, this is one of the most important times of our lives where we start to form our sense of identity, you know, where we start to get a feel of being comfortable in the skin we're in, you know. And sure, a lot of us have issues with being comfortable, and I certainly was no exception. I was a little uncomfortable, you know, in that time of my life, but I bought this dress. It was amazing. I looked great in it. It was a hot summer day, you know, and there you go, in 1 second. This guy deflated my confidence, deflated my sense of self in that moment. I mean, it was a trifecta of hate. You know, you effing fat black bitch, you know, you wouldn't be so afraid of my dog. And it just rang. It absolutely rang. You know, I was mortified. I was embarrassed. It made me question myself. And I was also angry. But you know, sometimes when I reflect on the incident, I wonder to myself, was I angry then or am I angry now, you know, for my teenage self, right? But I do feel I had a sense of anger. You know, what was really sad about it was I ended up not going to the youth resource center. You know, I got off the RT, I did my cry, felt bad, and just went home. You know, and I didn't tell my mother about it. You know, I mean, obviously she's, you know, found out about it over the years. I've expressed it to her and many other things that I didn't tell her, you know. But it was an unbelievable moment of great sadness, and, you know, my dignity felt stripped, you know, and no one did anything. No one did anything.
So how did that moment make you feel? Did you feel embarrassed?
I absolutely felt embarrassed. I felt mortified. I felt alone, like this was a moment in a nightmare. Because again, I'm a kid. I'm a kid on my way on a bright summer day in a brand new dress I just got from Le Chateau, feeling amazing.
And let's talk about this. You bought it.
you know,
it's seen better days for sure.
It's seen many better days.
But it's from a long time ago. And tell me why you brought it, and
you
how
know,
you felt when you bought that dress, and how you felt after you bought that dress, and if you wore it again.
You know, well, I never wore it again. I absolutely never wore it again. I can tell you that. I never wore it again. And it's funny, even today, when I decided to bring it, I had to search for it and search in, you know, barrels and whatnot, and I saw it. And instantly when I saw it, I got a little teary-eyed, because it's not the thing that I see every day, right? But looking at it, feeling it, and, you know, remembering, you know, the Spice Girls and everything that would have been happening at that time, where I did feel like a girl empowered. I felt good in this dress, you know? And in that moment, it was taken away. And to put some context on the significance of this, you know, growing up, I was a child who, you know, had survived sexual abuse. I was a child who had survived pretty significant surgeries. So I lived with scars. You know, I lived with a body that had been poked and prodded, often hospitalized. Even now, I mean, I just had a major surgery recently enough, and I'm still sort of living through that. So my body, my appearance, the way I present myself in the world has always been something that I've had to negotiate between how I'm feeling and, well, you know, how much of how I'm feeling do I want to show on any given day. So I do take great pride in, you know, using my body and my style, my own style. It may not be for the style of the people, but it's my style, as a way of gaining control. So when I was sitting on that RT, obviously I didn't have that sophisticated analysis, you know, back then, but I felt great. And I was on my way to the Scarborough Youth Resource Center, and I knew that I'd be seeing friends and community folks, and it was going to be a great day. And in that moment, that guy took away a strip. And as I said, you know, you know, as I see it as, it was a trifecta of hate, literally. And it was so spontaneous. And that's the thing about hateful words. You know, we have this idea that somehow they are provoked, or, well, you know, you asked for it somehow. But these words just drop out of people's mouths, in my opinion, definitely consciously. Many times. I think we have a lot of excuses that we make around why people say negative things. And it hurts. It hurts. And as a society, you know, I just wish somebody on that RT had come over and, are you okay? Or even had yelled back, you know, shut the F up or something, you know, to show me that I wasn't alone and that I had a supportive audience. And instead, there were laughs, there were snickers, there was the look and then the look away, and then there was just the complete ignoring of my gaze. And so this is, you know, when I look back at that experience and I think about who I am today and the voice that I try to have, I'm doing this because I don't have a choice. I can't be a bystander. Like, it's just not in my veins. It's not how I was raised. You know, you have to stand for someone or for something that matters. And, you know, I would equally say, of course, you know, as I've said to many scores of people, you know, you don't want to put yourself in harm's way physically, but there's always something you can do. Even if it's recording it for the sake of documentation, not the sake of exploitation and playing it over and over and laughing at it, but for documentation, or even if it's after the effect, after the moment, saying, are you okay? Just those words can make all the difference.
You become a voice for people who are dealing with body image issues. Did this experience lead to that, or was this something that you always saw as something that was important to talk about?
I would say this experience certainly led to me lending and using my voice to tell my story and encouraging others to use their voice. I had been teased, you know, in school, like many kids. I had even had, you know, relatives who would say the odd fat joke, or you don't need that extra slice of cake, or whatever the case was. So from a very young age, I was very aware and very conscious of my body. And again, whether it was a fat joke, or whether it was something about hair, or having good hair or bad hair, or skin tone, or whether it was some weird doctor seeing me naked, right? Because I'm still a kid here, going to doctors and being on tables and getting, you know, tests done. So I was very hyper aware of how hyper visible my body was in certain contexts. So I think that incident, the shame, the sadness, everything, it didn't turn me into an activist overnight. I was a kid just trying to get by and get through. But certainly, you know, for the last umpteenth years, body image, and particularly not just about weight, but about our whole person. You know, the way we see ourselves and the way people perceive us, and the impact that that can have on everything from housing to schooling to the workplace to dating. You know, that's always been a real passion of mine. So that's why the work, you know, that my team, you know, that I and that supporters do now, whether it's Body Confidence Canada, whether it's, you know, creating monologues where we can reflect and write letters to our younger selves, whether it's fighting to get, you know, laws made. You know, we want size and appearance included in our human rights code as prohibited grounds of discrimination. Because at the end of the day, appearance matters, and we all say you can't judge a book by its cover, but yet we are all, you know, scholars at doing just that with one another.